One. Good afternoon and welcome to Titan Talk. Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. Today you got myself, Lieutenant Coop. We've got our wonderful local talent, Captain McFarland. And we've got a special
Howdy,
guest
howdy.
with us today. We have Mr. Brian Potter. He is our new marketing manager, and he's going to be joining us today, so we can welcome him to the Titan family. I'd appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
So, Brian, kind of getting into this. We'll jump into this like real quick. Give us a little bit of a background on yourself. What's a marketing manager do? What do they do?
That's a great question. Okay, so what I like to say is this sort of I mean, it's not a long story. The story kind of is I grew up with my mom had a photography business,
Mhm.
and what I would do is I would sit at the kitchen table with her when she would talk to brides, and she would talk about the packages. She would ask them what it is that they want or what they need for their wedding day, and so I got to listen to her sort of running her own business
Right.
and work with her on doing that. So developing packages or going out on weddings with her to shoot the weddings, and then she would sit and she would present the prints and talk to me about ordering prints. So it was sort of the whole sales cycle,
Mhm.
and that happened very early in my life. And so I just developed a love for businesses doing. I mean, honestly, I just want to see businesses do well.
That
Right.
process part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not only the process, but just I just it became such a part of me, you
Yep.
know. So and that developed into it's really a combination of just skills that I picked up. I just got to work really early, obviously, for the wedding photography thing, and then
Right,
work
yep.
with the DJ because he was in the wedding thing. So, but I learned to I picked up developing a first website when I was around 11 years old. There's a
Nice.
friend of ours who had a ranch, and then she wanted to sell it. And this is really early, in the internet days.
Sure.
Right.
So it was all hand. So I developed websites, and I don't know, just a series of skills that have combined into just like being able to identify what it is that people want and need. And it's really getting it out to them in such a way where they understand it
Mhm.
and they know what you do. And it addresses the why are we better, faster, or cheaper?
Yep.
And how does this solve my problems?
Right.
And so the question of like, what does a marketing professional do is it's understanding people really psychology a lot of it and it's a lot of problem solving. It's have you seen that meme where it's like what I do what my boss thinks I
Yes.
do,
Yes.
Yes.
right? So it's like that one for marketing is like what I think I do, and it's like a presentation and and then it's
Yeah.
like what I actually do, and it's like a spreadsheet.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah.
So
It's not drawing logos.
it's
Yeah. Right.
it's but a lot of it's data. Like I'm very data driven, and people have a misconception with marketing and think, oh, it's an ad,
Right.
right? But an ad is the end result of
A lot of studies and
right.
yeah.
Who are we speaking
Why is this ad
to?
gonna work?
Yeah.
Who's it gonna
What is
reach?
it addressing? Like, what is the message here? And
Yep.
that's a lot of back end work.
Right.
So, anyway, it's an exciting field because
It
it's
is.
always changing. It's very challenging.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's
and
kind
that's
of one of the reasons I think anybody kind of gets into what we do too, is because it's ever changing.
yeah.
It's always interesting. There's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
something to learn. There's always something to do.
What's going to happen today?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
That's a trash can, not a. All right. Let's move on, please.
that is not a shower about
Yeah.
yeah. No,
And it's Tuesday.
we were chatting before we got on. I had a few classes of marketing, and it was really always really interesting, just because the psychology part is what I liked,
Yeah.
And so obviously in this industry, there's a lot of psychology involved and how to understand people and read
Hmm.
people and deal with people and understanding that. And it's going to sound bad. I don't want it to seem bad, but it's almost like manipulating when it comes to marketing, because you're reading how people, at least from my perspective, not manipulating in a bad way, but like you're understanding why things or how people work the way they do and why they do it.
Yeah.
And then you're like you said, that end result is having that ad be there for those people,
Yeah.
and so
That makes
it's always been
sense.
really interesting to me to see, because it's like a guy that likes to tinker with engines. He just kind of likes to play, here and see and understand. Okay, well, this is what drives the piston, the crankshaft, And so
Mhm.
it's just really cool. And people that are wired with that kind of brain, I would say probably three of us relatively are, And so it's kind of just tinkering and seeing how things work and why they work,
On the
and
back end and how it
yeah,
all plugs
and
together.
just my very you know uneducated version of marketing for me would be kind of how you do that with people, and so just kind of studying
Yeah.
them and seeing how those things work, and then tying that to a business or a strategy,
Yeah.
and or a company and or product,
Yeah.
and that's kind of my take on it. So I've always been fascinated by
Yeah.
it.
It's a fascinating field. And not to push back too hard on the manipulating thing, but
Let's find out this works.
let's push back real hard for a second. No, it's interesting. Actually, that's an interesting point because people people want authenticity.
Sure.
It's like, okay,
Mhm.
let's put it this way. Manipulate's like, it's an interesting way to look at it because, like, if you, I relate a lot of times to, if you walk onto a used car lot,
Mhm.
and if you've ever purchased a car,
Mhm.
right? There's two types of people that approach you. There's the first one that's the manipulator, right? It's like, hey, so what's going on? It's like, oh, this is. And then there's a guy that's like, hey, so you want to go for a ride? And you're like, I'm looking. It's like, cool. And he backs off,
Right.
right? And it's interesting because a lot of what you said about it's meeting a need.
Yeah.
Because when you talked about like I see an ad or something, the key now, like marketing's changed. Actually, it's changed in a lot of ways, but it
Mhm.
hasn't changed in a lot of ways.
Sure. I can see what you're
If you
saying.
like Mad Men, my wife and I watch. My wife's a designer. She develops websites, so like
Yep.
we're both similarly wired. And so we watch Mad Men and all that stuff that's like back in the day. Lucky Strike, it's toasted or whatever, like
Yeah.
a
Right.
differentiator. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's just it goes out on a print ad.
Right.
But what it comes down to is it's more like it's a point of decision. So for like what
Mhm.
we do here, right?
That's a really cool way to look at it.
We've
That
talked
is.
about it like, hey, my business just got broken into.
Right.
What are you going to need immediately? You're going to think about certain things. Insurance. You're going to think about a
Did my
lot of
cameras
things.
catch anything? Do I have cameras?
That's the thing.
Security.
First, you're going to think about like how do I protect
Security.
myself?
Right.
So that's the point of decision. So the point is they go and they type in searching for something. That's that point of decision. They hit our site, for example, and then maybe they don't get an answer, but they hit our site, so they go home and they get an ad on Facebook because they hit our site. We're at that point of decision. It's about reaching the right person, the right time, with the right message, and
Striking while the
answering their
iron's hot.
questions.
Yeah. Yeah. This is weird. So I did sales for landscaping for a while, and I would do enhancements and packages and stuff, and commercial and residential, and it was a lot of. I mean, it's hustling. You're not in a bad way, but you're constantly grinding.
Yes.
Trying to get the sale,
Yes.
and so it was just a wear on me. I was pretty good at it. I enjoyed it, putting the projects together and seeing it start from the ground up. I'm talking $100,000 backyards we put together.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Like a puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my best mentors was my boss at the time, and he said, "You got to get them while they're in heat because that's when you're going to strike while they heat."
And then hand them the pen when they say yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
the
And,
second.
and actually, a lot of times he would say, don't be the last one to talk. And so when you're going through your sales pitch, have them want to talk at the end and slide them the
Yeah.
contract.
When they if let's say you have 5 or 6 or you want to cover maybe the insurance, you want to
Yep.
cover our guarantee, but if they say yes before you hit point 3, 4, and 5, say great.
There you
And
go.
then
Here's the
cover that
contract.
after
Here you
they
go.
sign. Yeah.
Yeah, we're about 3 months out, and we'll,
And
we'll
it's
start we'll
I'm
start
glad you
breaking
mentioned
ground.
the sales side because sales and marketing I've always said are hand in glove.
Yep.
There's nothing but overlap when it comes to
Of
the two.
course. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
always working with the sales team. And it's interesting. I want to relate it to like what we do here. Big part of that is so there's so many different approaches
Yeah.
or functions of marketing, and one of those functions is internal marketing. So there's like you talked about,
Okay, that's cool.
there's like
Never really thought.
outside,
Yeah.
right? Find us and know us and love us and want to work with us, right?
Yep.
And then there's the company. So like for our officers and our guards, there I consider it to be any place that I've worked at, and I can get into that if you want, but I mean, who cares? We're here.
Sure.
It's all about time. So, but the point is that I mean, our people are walking billboards,
Yeah.
right? Our vehicles are route. Our
Our
officers have
uniforms are
the
specific.
uniforms.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give us a call, and not only that, but the interactions. That's like okay. So when you go and you purchase something, right?
Mhm.
I will land on a point here eventually. I'm very
No, this is
No,
I'm
this is
very
great. This is
bouncy
great.
this is very
and
stimulating
shiny,
conversation.
so
I've learned like 3 or 4 things already, so this is awesome.
that's
What we're
good.
supposed to be learning?
Okay, Coop. It's okay.
Slow but worth waiting for.
There you
So
go.
that's me.
No, that's
So
me. Don't worry.
there's if you go to buy something, let's say you want to buy a leaf blower, and what do you normally? What's the process now for purchasing something?
Well, so online or in store, and
Whatever it
you make
is.
a good point. I bought a leaf blower this last year.
I was just about
Remember,
to
because I
say you
told you
bought a
about
new
it.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I bought a commercial one because I got a big property, and so I got the backpack one. And having done landscape, I operated before, so I
Right.
knew exactly what I wanted. So I didn't. There was no marketing really. Well, yeah, there probably was a little. But
I say
actually,
it comes
You
off.
looked around,
that's the
right?
cool thing is that it was, and I didn't even know it was
Did you look up a
happening.
YouTube video?
No,
No, you didn't look up
no.
a YouTube.
That's what I do. When I'm looking for something, I I rent. I don't own. I don't have nice land. I don't have any of that. Like my apartment complex, they're semi good at cleaning up the
Yeah,
leaves.
just take care of yourself. You're not worried
Not
about
to worry about it. But when I'm looking to purchase something, it's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look up
research for sure.
Everybody does.
the first product that I find for it, and I'll do a bunch of research on that to see if there's
Yep.
what are the reviews on it, what's
Right.
it do, how's it work,
Right. From
and then
multiple sites.
exactly,
And how
then,
much does it cost on multiple sites?
Yep.
and then I'll see. Well,
That's
there's
right.
this thing
It's
that's
business.
similar to it, and then there, this is a little different.
Right.
What's the difference?
And here's a
is
video of somebody using
Mhm.
it. So, and
you
what,
maintenance it.
exactly, and how much is it? All right, how long does it
Yep.
last? So another part of that, what I'm referring to is like there's that the cycle now for people. It's 15, 20 touches, right? So in relation to our officers, or maybe because it's people watching or people that are working with us, part of that is those touch points. So they
Mhm.
may encounter a Titan officer at a different location,
Sure.
Right.
right? Or they may encounter them with maybe they're doing some temporary services with us,
Mhm.
but that experience with them is extremely valuable.
They're beneficial.
They
Sure.
they are helpful and they represent the company well. So guess what? They may think about us later. So that's what I mean when I talk about like there's that internal marketing,
Yep.
like what we're doing here, talking it goes into the world. But this is information that's good for us. So there's that internal component,
Yeah.
and that's really important. It's all part of that cycle, and I mean it's part of the brand because
Yeah.
a brand, from a marketing standpoint, a brand is a promise.
I was just saying, brand's only as good as what it really is.
Well, yes, a brand is a promise
Yep.
of saying we represent this and we will deliver on it,
Yep.
and that's so incredible, and that's part of the reason that when I was looking around for another opportunity or what did I want to do next, Titan has such a commitment to service and speed and quality,
Yeah.
and that speed and quality aspect. So, I mean, a little behind the scenes here, like inside baseball where I'm working currently is in the dispatch center,
Mhm.
and I'm watching every day. Immediately it's something comes in, hey, get away, or they
Yep.
call the person.
Right.
It's like so fit, and they get on the phone. Yeah, that's this person, or no, and then somebody's out. So that speed is so good.
Crucial. Yeah.
So yeah, it's that promise to the
Yeah.
brand, which is really important.
I keep seeing the scene from Tommy Boy. I've watched it recently where he
Cool.
goes to sell
Selling the
he
brake
goes to some of the
pads.
brake pads and he's like, "There's no guarantee on the box."
Yeah.
And he goes through
Yeah,
about the
big old
T-bone
spiel.
part.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
the-
You're like, "Well, guarantee."
the T-bone part,
Yeah.
and but he makes a really good point. He's just like when he makes that decision, he just finally goes, "Okay, I'll buy from you." It's
Yeah.
just like he hit
It's
that
it's done.
he hit that key term that, hey, you're gonna get a guarantee here. I don't have to put it on the box.
Yeah,
Right.
Tell me it's taken care of. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
And he took down, he stripped away all the stuff, and he disconnected on that level. He knew what he wanted and needed. He didn't want really a guarantee.
Yeah.
He wanted a relationship.
That's exactly what it is, and
Yeah.
that's why Tommy's dad, if you haven't seen the movie, but Tommy's dad was so good at selling because that dude was super cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
He was in the movie for 10 minutes. Spoilers before he dies, but
It was just released.
Brand new.
Yeah.
1980 something.
Chris Farley gets just pretty CG.
It's probably early 90s, isn't it?
I think it's late
I
80s.
don't think it's 80s.
I think it's late 80s.
Let's see if anybody in the
Look it up, but if you guys know
Tommy Boy,
anybody
leave a
in
comment
chat,
below.
if anybody in chat knows what year
I'm gonna say
that's out,
92.
let us know.
It's 90s. It has a
92 or
I'm gonna say
It
89.
does.
I'm gonna say
feels.
89 or 90. I'm gonna say
Because-
late 89, like
Because,
late 80s, early
um,
90s.
Oh, sorry. What's his co-star?
You got to pick a year.
Okay.
David Spade.
91.
Spade was not an early 80s guy.
No, he
was a
wasn't.
early 80s guy.
I'm gonna-
And not
What's your year? I said
Diego
92.
says 95. Guys, is that confirmed?
Ooh, maybe that's
Diego, where'd you find that?
this without going over. I need to do.
Thank you, Diego.
Diego's very helpful.
He's got a whole
I say
cinema
Diego-
room.
I'm gonna say out of a lot of everybody who's responded to some of that stuff, Diego and Gary is most right. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying about. Here's who I imagine Diego is. I think he's got a Tommy Boy room. I think he's got posters,
The one-
memorabilia.
The cover of the movie.
Yeah. He's got
Whereas-
a brake pad prop in the film.
You don't even need the prop. You'll get a break that.
That's my moment. I've been waiting for.
These are just road
Diego, don't get
flares.
smart with me. He goes, Google, Coop. Google.
Well, see, That's something that my late brother would always do. He goes, I try not to Google it. He goes, I want to think about it for a bit, stimulate the brain for a while, so you don't, because you always have the answer is always right here.
Oh yeah.
The answer is
I
always
was
right
gonna
here.
say,
You know,
hey
it's
Siri.
funny. You know, it's funny. I remember in like school there, I was being told by teachers, "You're never gonna have all the answers with you every day. You're never
A
gonna have a
calculator in your
calculator."
pocket.
And
Yeah,
I remember the first time I got a cell phone, and I
that's a
had a
bunch of bullshit now,
it had
isn't it?
a calculator, and I was like, "Hey, look, I got a real basic one,
Yeah,
calculator." First smartphone, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've got the internet, I've got
Yeah.
answers, I've got a
We've
calculator."
all just got basically supercomputers in
yeah.
our
I'm not
pocket.
even like good at the whole
There's more.
maths,
What's
the
funny?
numbers.
I was looking at some stuff there. There's more power in our cell phones nowadays than there was in the shuttle that went to the moon.
Yeah,
Oh
oh yeah,
yeah.
guaranteed.
That's a scary
Have
thought.
you seen? So this is the normal iPhone calculator. So if you want to get fancy, you can turn on its side,
Yeah.
and it's got all the extra
Oh
like
yeah.
smart buttons.
Hashtag
Never knew
hot
that.
tips.
Yeah, hashtag hot tips.
Titan Tech Tips.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Titan Tech Tips.
If you want to be good at math,
Today we're reviewing the new
Diego's-
Android phone.
Diego says I wasn't even. He goes, I wasn't even alive in '95, so I would have to Google it.
I was 5, so I was 5.
It is difficult talking to people who were not allowed in '95 now about older movies.
It's not the same.
You ever, yeah, well, do you ever do that and you tell somebody like, yeah, do you remember the original Ghostbusters? And they're like, "What do you mean with the
The first one.
and or you tell them about a film that's like commonly known,
Yeah,
you know, and they're like, I've never heard of it. You're like, oh God, that's right.
dude, it's crazy because like I'd say about like 60%, give or take, of the movies being made now are remakes of movies from 30 or 40, 50 years
Yeah.
ago.
Oh, that's
They're
been
just
going on.
It's
That's been going on forever.
A little bit more about Brian the marketing guy, huge movie nerd. My wife and I will watch movies almost every night. Actually, I have over a long time of video production experience. That was one of my first jobs as
Nice.
in-house media director for Joel Osteen's church, Lakewood Church in Houston.
Oh wow.
But not for his television show. I always have to differentiate that. And for like the young adults or men's or women's ministries, and
Cool.
so I'm a huge movie
Yeah, me too.
video guy.
too.
Josh and I were in here geeking
Yeah,
out earlier.
we
Yep.
were talking about it, so I'm gonna start tapping to him. So everybody expects podcasts to get a little bit better quickly.
possible.
I got a video
Some
guy
high
with me now.
quality stuff.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. It's been a long day.
We were
I was talking about range on Fridays. I'm a little fried today, but yeah.
We were talking.
Think about
We
that.
were talking earlier, and one of the first things he says after I brought up the podcast, he goes, "Yeah, I've got a background in video editing," and I was like, "Whoa, hold on, wait a minute here. You are about to change the game because I am
Tiger's like, what do you got going on back here, you
I was like,
uncultured swine?
I'm self-taught and I've got a lot of issues." And he goes, "No,
saying that, like if he would have never said I'm self-taught, I honestly wouldn't know. So props to you.
Yeah,
I am
no,
curious
we
though.
give him a lot of credit.
In the comments for the video, I am curious what some people's favorite '90s movies are. Because that was such a golden age for some movies.
Let's go.
Was
What's your
it
favorite
bigger
90s
year,
movies?"
kind of a good year.
Yeah, we were. My wife and I were actually going over this not that long ago when Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. The time of year to watch that.
Yeah.
It always gets me in like a '90s movie.
Yeah.
Like I want to watch '90s movie because I think that actually might have came out in the late '80s, like
I think
'88 or
so.
'89. But that
You want, you want me to,
85
you want me to
85 to
enact
99.
our research?
Yes. Planes, Trains, and
There you go,
Automobiles.
chat. There's
There's such a distinction though with the decades. Like
Yes.
90s has such a strong vibe.
It does. It
80s
really
is,
does.
there's a weird transitionary like period,
Yep.
but
Yep.
excuse me, once that break happens,
In the early 2000s, because I was still growing up with
Yeah.
those, but it's
Yeah.
like it's just not the same.
there's
There's
just
something
Spy
so
Kids, like
nostalgic.
this
Yeah.
weird, yeah, like
Yeah, Spy Kids 5 with the thumb people, and
yeah.
but there's this weird
Oh wow,
nostalgia.
he knows
totally
Spy
forgot.
Kids trivia.
Well, I
totally
have
forgot about that
4
movie.
3 younger siblings, so
Oh,
I grew up
okay.
watching all that stuff, and like,
I totally
no.
forgot about that movie.
yeah. So like the from '90 to '99, there's just a nostalgia feeling of all those movies, and
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
You know what's funny? I hear
Definite vibe.
I hear there's some of the '90s trends are coming back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting to see a Blockbuster again.
Yeah, they have one, and that's it.
There's
It's a
one-
museum. I don't
No,
think it's an actual
It's a
Blockbuster.
B&B, and it actually functions as a blockbuster.
Does it
there's
really?
an Airbnb that's
Yeah.
a blockbuster.
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
yeah.
The
No,
classic
everything old
It
is
movie.
new
It's got like
again.
an old '90s room set up.
That's
and,
cool.
Like,
Sure.
Yeah, GameCube. Or
I'm
not
not looking
GameCube,
forward to any kind
Super
of
Nintendo and all
Super
that.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
any goth or that was some god awful stuff. But all the
emo phase. Everybody had a little emo phase. I feel like.
Yeah, there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
No, not everybody. No, when it,
Saying like I wore like eye black or anything, but I was in.
Actually, I think we have some footage of that.
yeah, rolling on to that footage.
Pull that
Footage of Captain McFarlane with black eyeshadow on.
Blink 182 or like 741. The bands.
Yeah,
The music, I guess, was more. No, I was a jock. I was not anything other than that. I just worked out and played a lot of sports. But I was friends with
I
everybody.
picked the weights up and I put some down.
Yeah, wish I still did it. I haven't seen a weight room in a probably since the 90s almost.
No. We'd never tell. On a side note, Suzanne says
Swear.
it's nice to see you out of uniform.
That's why we're black. It's slimming. It's slimming. Yeah, we were in a bunker doing range, so it was cold, and I didn't want to have to layer up, so I just wore this. So
It's a nice shirt, though.
yeah, thank
It's
you.
just a
Thank you.
step up.
It's a tactical button up, is what they say. It's a 511. It was on sale. I couldn't pass it up.
I can't beat that. Sales great for that stuff.
So, are you local or yeah? So you obviously live in Houston. Where'd you grow up at?
So I was born and raised in San Luis Obispo, California.
Oh wow.
Born in San Luis Obispo. I was raised. If you're from here, you know this place, but it's Atascadero, California, which is always fun to hear people try to read it off a page. The Central Coast of California. It's right between LA and San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
Beautiful place to live if you have all the money in the world and don't
Mm.
care that California's
Yeah.
California.
Right.
So
It's a very
grew
good
up
way to look
there.
at it.
and
Perfect way to look at it.
so I met my wife there. And then we moved to Houston. I was in Houston for I want to say 11 years, 10 or 11 years.
Yeah.
I always say I love my Houston people. Nothing against it, but it is like an outhouse and a sauna. It can be difficult.
I bet.
You have to want to live there.
I've only been there. You've only been there in the airport. Never actually gone outside the
It's
airport.
pretty rough during the summer, which is all the time.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Houston for 11 years, and then back to California. And so my wife, we live in Blue Springs.
Okay.
Let me give my address and zip code.
Yeah.
We're in
We're also
Blue-
going to need your social security number and your birth certificate.
You got the
Blood
censor
type.
button, right? It's
No, it doesn't work.
it would have been bad. So my wife's family is all from here. So she has
Okay.
her mom and dad, and then her 3 sisters, and they're all married. And so we've got nieces and nephews, and they're all
Yeah.
like Raytown or they're
Yep.
all near us.
Right.
So it was an easy decision. So when COVID hit, I was working in California, and we went remote. I worked remotely for a little over 3 years, just about 3 years, completely remotely.
Wow.
And when that happened, the company I was working for was one of the first ones to be like, "Hey, let's go ahead and just work from home," because we realized we could.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, eventually I talked to my the owner, and I was like, "Hey, we're thinking about moving out to Missouri because that's all the stuff I just told
Family
you."
and all
And
that.
he's like, "Yeah, you can do your job as long as you can do your job." I'm like, "I think so.
Yeah.
That'd be fine." And
Yeah.
it was an easy decision with everybody out here. And so we do Christmases, and I got dozens of photos of all the
Good.
kids
good,
on
good.
there, and we love those nieces and nephews to death. And so yeah, we're here in Missouri.
Cool. I just was
Good
curious.
decision to move.
It's always cool to know where people's backgrounds are. I think you're from the desert.
I'm from New
and then
Mexico.
I'm basically from the middle of the map, country. So
Yeah. And we've been out here a bunch. When we lived in Houston, we would come up to visit for Christmas all the time.
yeah.
So obviously my wife, she's from Paola, and so she was very familiar, and I got familiar with the area.
Yeah.
People always ask, "Did you know about the weather?" I'm like, "Yes, I knew about the weather."
Yeah, I was gonna say you have Texas summers here, and then you have Kansas winters.
Yeah,
here,
this
so
one was
you get the
very
best of both
interesting.
worlds.
Yeah,
You get the best of
What do
both
you mean
worlds.
best of both worlds?
and in the
The
same day
environment is trying
sometimes.
to kill you both
Every day.
both
Yeah,
years.
same
It's either
time.
too cold or too hot.
It's 70. It's -12. It's
It's been
It's
5 minutes. Why is it
snowing.
raining?
Yeah, it's snowing. It's raining. It's on fire.
I remember the first time when I moved here, being from the desert, I came out here to set up my new job and everything when we were first moving out. And we drove, me and my ex-fiance at the time, we drove in one shot. It was a 16-hour drive from
Oh,
where
yeah.
we lived to here. And we had the air conditioner on with it was recycling the air, so we didn't get any new air.
Yeah.
We got here, I went to fill up, opened the door and stepped out, and I thought I was drowning
Oh,
because
right.
it's so there's no humidity where
Yeah,
I'm
it's all
from.
moisture in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I stepped out. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "What's going on here?" And she goes, "It's humidity." And I was like, "It's no, there's water in here."
Houston,
I
you
was
take
like, I
a
think I'm
shower and you
drowning.
step outside, and it can be absolutely like suffocating.
I lived in Mississippi for a while with a buddy of mine in between semesters of college, and the mosquitoes are the size of hummingbirds,
Yeah.
and it is sweltering.
They say they're small enough to fly
Sweltering.
through the screen door, big enough to open it.
Right, either one.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is a Mississippi thing, but there were ants all over the hills, and we would kill it or knock it down, pour some beer on it, and just
them
had a
off.
good time going down. And
Yeah, I
then
was
the
gonna
next
say
morning,
they came back going, "Look over here.
we need more beer.
Bring back more.
He is here,
Yeah.
guys."
And it might have been just where we were living at, but for whatever reason, the anthills, and they were like efficient Maybe it was the beer. I don't know, but like
I doubt it
we
was the
knock it
beer.
down, and then the next morning it would be right. How I'm like, what in the hell? I thought-
Ants. Another little factoid. I love ants for some reason.
That's weird that
But
I even brought 'em
That's
up
broad.
then.
That's
yeah,
really.
one of my favorite games.
Did you guys set this up beforehand? Like,
BFFs. No, one of my favorite games growing up was SimAnt, actually.
Okay.
The old Maxis game, and
Is that like like a simulator that you were?
you're an ant in a colony,
Oh,
and
cool.
you can still
They
download
are
it online.
fascinating.
they've got games like that now, don't they?
Oh yeah, they made newer
Goat
ones.
Simulator.
There's one that I downloaded on Steam that's a colony ant simulator,
Yeah,
and
nice.
but I would I used to get little ant farms, the little
Yeah.
ones with
Yeah.
gel,
I had a
and
friend that had them. I never had one myself.
they're fun. And
Yeah.
for a while
watch
until they
them.
die. I was telling my wife I should get one from home. She's like, no, you won't. But
Absolutely
I
not.
like the video. There is a video I saw on YouTube where they poured molten
Aluminum.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
and they
Yeah.
uncovered it and they
Yep.
showed
Just a
the
network for
amazing. They do it all in. It's it's fascinating.
They did
it
one.
really is. No,
they-
it is.
There was a college in Las Cruces, I think. Don't quote me on that. But there was a student there who wanted to see what an ant colony looked like, and this was back when I was living there. And he did the same thing, and there was a YouTube video on it that my teacher showed, and it was
Mhm.
I couldn't believe how actually big that the ant
Yeah,
colonies
huge.
were.
There's a guy on YouTube I follow that he has a home. His whole channel is ant colonies, and his videos are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And he has hundreds of square feet on the first floor that he's dedicated to just that for his
That's awesome.
YouTube
Oh
channel.
wow!
That's awesome.
It's pretty crazy.
I'm probably gonna screw this up, but I remember some weird. And I'm full. When you get to know me, I'm full of random weird facts.
That's
I think
100%
we've
the
established
truth.
that on this.
they just
episode.
they just stick. That's why I'm the talent. It's like, well, I'll find something to talk about. But I think for all the ants on the planet, they weigh as much as all the humans on the planet. That's how many ants there are.
Oh yeah, we are way outnumbered.
Yeah.
We're outnumbered, but they weigh us. They weigh the same. That's how many there are.
I mean, it's like
I
that's like
wonder if
saying
there's
what's the
something
sa-
to that.
Yeah.
What if we are just giant ants?
Maybe we are.
Maybe ants and we
The
don't
perception of reality is not real.
And then now
No,
for
we're not
Titan
getting into the
conspiracy
simulation stuff here.
theories.
little ant feelers. No, but it's funny you say because I was watching something the other day, and I think that's where I got that from. And I was sitting there, and I probably 20 minutes later, and I got this new TV, and it's got really good clear picture, and I've been watching these animal and like nature shows.
Oh, that's the best for 4K.
Oh, it's amazing.
They have a bunch of 4K stuff
Yes,
on it.
yes.
nature
So I was
stuff.
looking for YouTube TV, and I'm finding all this 4K stuff because my TV I had before this was like 15 years old. So I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, look at all this cool stuff I can
He was
do.
bragging about this for 2 weeks before he
Yeah,
technically
I'm
had
hearing
it. Yeah,
large
he just knew.
property. I got a 4K.
I'm cheap about a lot of stuff, but I like my creature. I'm
understand.
a creature of comfort. So, and we like a lot of movies too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've been asking my wife for years to upgrade the TV, and we finally did. And so anyway, I'm sitting there watching for 20 minutes. I'm like, look at these ants, man. They all got stuff going on. And then bees are another one
Yeah.
that are really cool.
Got Attenborough in the background. The ant finds
That's exactly what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
his new home.
The
is now
queen must
discovered.
relocate. Yeah,
An
no, it's funny.
unfortunate caterpillar has stumbled into the trap.
That's really
That's
good.
that's almost exactly what it
That
sounds
is
like.
creepy good. The unfortunate caterpillar's not going to get
Yeah.
attacked by 4,000 fire ants, ripped apart, limbs. Poor guy. He's just like, what's going on? But
I don't deserve this.
these are the other ones. I got an uncle-in-law that has that keeps. He's a beekeeper, and I mean he's got the dad joke. I'm like, how the bees doing? He goes, oh, they're busy. I'm like, yeah, of course they
Oh
are.
goodness.
But we get free honey from it, and it's just cool to
You
watch
can't
how they
beat
do
that.
it. It's really good for you too. But no, it's cool. He was showing me this. There's when the bee finds a new place to put the nest or the hive,
Yeah.
and he comes back to the other bees. He touches a bunch of them, and then it spreads like a virus, and then they all start to swarm and go to it. Like just the cool
The pheromones.
like alien. It's almost like a colonization of
The
like
little
alien.
dances they do in the
Yeah.
pheromones and everything.
Yeah, and it was just like a rare
Just don't
thing.
mention the movie My Girl, and we'll be fun. We'll get through the
Is,
episode.
is
No,
that the
no.
one with
Macaulay Culkin.
Oh,
Yeah. I've never seen it,
Oh,
so
no spoilers then.
he can't see without his glasses or whatever.
You need to see that now.
Yep.
With the bee fascination.
So I've seen memes about it, so
Yeah.
that's how I know. But I've never.
No
It's a
clue.
'90s movie.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be with him. Old
Yep.
enough. Yeah.
Do we have anybody comment on their '90s movies? Because
Oh yeah, I'm
I'm
curious.
in the mood to watch a '90s movie.
we had someone had put in there earlier the original It movie.
Great one.
That's a
That's
phenomenal
an
movie.
80s.
That might
That's
be.
an
Actually, that
80s
might be
film.
'80s. Yeah, late
Yeah.
'80s. Tim Curry.
That was the two-parter too that they did.
It-
That's
well,
a long
wasn't it-
movie.
Correct me if I'm wrong. it's 2-part. I think it was in TV.
It was on TV.
It was.
Yeah.
And then they made a movie or made it into a movie, but
Yep.
it was because that was the thing in the 80s and 90s is 3 Saturdays in a row, whereas now Netflix you just binge it. But there'd be like
Yeah.
3 Saturdays in a row where it'd be 3 parts to a movie or
Yeah,
a story.
yeah.
That was popular.
But
I remember
it's got the 2-parter kind of, but it was the TV deal.
Yeah.
That's a great movie. I like
Yeah.
the remake, but
I
yeah,
do too.
that's a
We
good one.
actually were talking about
What-
the range.
If I remember correctly, and you guys can quote me because I'm not a huge movie buff, apparently, like you two are.
I love movies.
Great, I'm outnumbered in
Important
something else
marketing
now.
information. The movie back.
The new one, the new It is it's not a remake or anything. It's an addition onto the old one,
Yeah, yeah.
where they say that he comes back every
Very
27 years. Or something.
27. Yeah, yeah. The first one was good.
It isn't it?
Yeah, the first one was good, and it's so weird.
The
We're talking. We
sequel.
were talking about this at Range. So the place
Same
we go
movie?
to, yeah. So we're
Nice.
this is weird.
Maybe he was.
What's going on here?
I don't know.
guys?
I like this.
It's been a long.
Have
it's a
you
long
more
week. I'm
often.
sleep deprived. There's
Happy to do
too
it.
many weird correlations, but at Range there's this like water trap where it looks like the basement in it. And so when I was putting up targets, I was like, "Well, I'll float down here." And
That's a good- that's a good-
yeah, boss man looks at me. He goes, "Oh, I saw the new one. The new one's pretty good." I said, "The first one's good. The second one because the kids are good. It's almost
Yeah.
got like a Stranger
Yeah.
Things
And then
vibe.
the adults come.
They weren't as. It was hard.
Yeah.
The second one was
It's fun to
maybe I
watch.
put my
the,
hopes too high for it, but
like therapeutic standpoint. It's fun
Yeah.
to watch like their brokenness as they're older. You know, and
I'm like,
it's-
wow, I'm not as messed up as I thought I was.
I don't want to get too controversial, but there is some stuff in the books they had to leave out. That
I
was
heard about
Oh,
that.
super
yes.
dark and stuff.
Yes,
And
yes.
I heard about that with the redhead and stuff.
it's not good.
I mean, when it comes to something like that, there's always going to be something in a book that there's
Well,
left
but I
out
didn't
due to-
know.
movies are
I didn't
never
know
as good
Stephen
as
King.
Yeah.
I didn't know Stephen King went to that place mentally.
yeah, I didn't know that
it was
either.
Oh,
rough.
he gets
It's
dark,
rough.
dude.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
I mean, you
rough
gotta
stuff.
look at Children of the Corn and stuff like that, dude. Those are
Well,
some of those can get
80s.
dark. Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like
I'm doing the checkbox.
he's keeping us in
Can
line.
we get any other 80s or
There is
any more
400
questions?
400 Kittens says Escape from L.A.
never seen it.
80s.
If I
That
have,
with he had the eye patch. Oh gosh, it's eluding
Who
me.
is it?
Maybe they'll say. But yeah, Escape from LA. That's a great movie.
you might check that one out.
Such an
I don't think
80s
I've seen
action.
that one.
I don't
He's
know.
got the eye patch. I can't remember. Isn't it Kurt Russell? Might be Kurt Russell.
Oh, I think I've
He's got
seen
the
it.
long hair.
I haven't seen the
I gotta
movie.
look, I gotta look it up
I've
now.
seen-
I have to look it up.
I've seen ads about it. I've never actually seen it. That yeah. I'm
That's
pretty sure it
a
is Kurt Russell.
quintessential 80s.
He's got the
action
80s,
film.
the 80s
With the eye patch.
with the eye patch. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. There's a new
1996.
No way. You're way off. Kurt Russell. So the guy looking at it too.
I think I've seen the cover. Yep.
Yeah, let
I've
me see
seen
the cover. Is it?
Yeah. 80s vibe.
That's
to
pretty
it.
cool.
That's what I thought when
Yeah.
I saw the that's exactly what I saw in my head. I was like,
That's 80s colors. That teal. and
Release
that-
date is
yeah.
August 9th, 1996.
Oh.
There you go.
So there's a new horror movie coming out that looks good. Evil Dead is Evil Dead Rise, and it's about like an apartment complex.
evil.
Because Evil Dead's the one that's
that
about in
Batman?
the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, is it?
With
Chainsaw.
that is one of my. That's Peter Jackson, by the way.
Yep. It's a good slapstick horror.
Oh, it's a great movie.
And so their newest installment from like probably 10 years ago. They're taking a lot of like the slapstick humor out, but there's still probably some going to be in there just because it's.
How do you do that? The whole film is.
Well, you saw the newest one, right? From probably about 10 years ago.
Remember?
Evil Dead. It's more closely related to like the cabin in the woods thing. Well, this one's
I love another favorite.
cabin in the woods.
That's
Good
such
movie.
a mind twister with Kevin.
It really was.
You know, I'm having a lot of fun, by the way. But
This-
Cabin in the Woods is
carried
great.
around here
because
a
it's
lot
not
of the
what you
time.
think at all, and the comedy in that I think is I like the lore of it.
Yes.
Like I'd love to see 10 Cabin in the Woods.
I forgot about
movies.
Cabin in the Woods. It's been a long time
Yeah,
since I've seen it.
it's weird because it is a movie we watch and you forget about it.
Yeah. You're going twice back to back
Oh.
within a couple
But when it comes
months.
up, you're like, I'll watch that again.
Yeah.
Like when he
Actually,
goes off with a motorcycle and slams into the. That's the moment.
the
Spoiler.
Yeah. Fence or whatever. Yeah.
The force field.
Yeah.
And where you go,
You're like, what the hell's going on?
what's going on?
here?
And then
yeah.
the veil lifts.
Yeah, all the like the compartments of the monsters. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool movie.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's
I
not
might have
your
a long
it's not
time
your
ago, but-
typical horror movie. You're gonna go into it thinking there's gonna be some guy in overalls, pitchfork, and a bunch of stunts, and half naked girls running around, just the normal horror base. and it's nothing like that. I mean, some of that happens, but it's nothing like
Yeah,
that.
there's like one or two scenes or
There's just
something.
it's just layers
I
and
also think you
layers.
got to when it comes to those movies like that. There's horror and then there's gore, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of people will get the
Yeah,
two confused.
slasher.
Yeah,
It's
So-
not.
and so like
It's
someone told me a while back that The Hills Have Eyes, but that's a horror movie. And I was like, no, that's a gore movie.
Yeah,
that's
that's
gore.
That's
film.
gore.
I never
And
watched
they're
any
like,
of
no, it's
those.
horror. And
That-
so I
Not
think a lot of people sometimes will get
not
that
missing too
confused.
much on those.
No, I don't
No.
think so.
So-
There's the
It's not
genre. You know what you're getting into.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna say mine first, and we'll go around since we're on the movie topic. Might as well stay there.
sure.
Okay, sure.
Top 2 favorites, top 3
For horror,
no, just in general favorite movies.
ooh,
So mine's gonna be The Dark Knight. Is one of them.
okay,
There's talk about a movie that has a lot of layers.
yes,
You can watch that movie 20 times and not get the same story out
We'll
of
have to
it.
get Tanisha in here and talk about the Joker. I was
Yeah.
saying Chris Nolan's Batmans are the best Batmans.
Yes.
The
Well,
Dark Knight trilogy is the best.
Tim Burton was good too.
I'm not saying he wasn't.
Yeah,
I
right,
just said
right.
Nolan is
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
best.
of course. I think just the Joker, he slayed it, and just the good and evil, and
The new
considering what we
Joker?
do, law enforcement, security.
the new Joker.
No. The Dark Knight. With Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, yes, yes, absolutely.
From a law enforcement security
There's a good
standpoint,
and
I
evil
never
thing.
thought
Yeah,
about
Batman's
that
like
with
a
the
cop.
Batman thing.
Batman's,
Well,
I'm former
his
law
original things
enforcement.
was detective.
Yeah.
It was the detective.
Yeah,
and
things,
he's just
right?
a really rich detective.
Yeah.
So The Dark Knight,
Okay.
Inglourious Bastards,
Okay.
that's one fantastic. And then
Phenomenal.
my third one, phenomenal. My third one has switched a few different times, but I'm leaning towards Saving Private Ryan.
You're not wrong.
That's a good one.
And they're not really old movies, but
No,
the old ones kind of they're in the classic category. So, but I don't know. It's just those are my top 3.
okay.
I really think we've had this
Brian,
conversation
what do you
multiple
got?
times before.
Oh my
This
god.
will be
So
tough.
this is one of my
He's going through his like Rolodex. of
most
his
hated.
brain.
It's always the thing.
Because you feel bad if you don't get it right.
Well,
I'll be driving home like, damn, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I always have an answer because when I was younger, so a little bit of backstory. Let's make it a longer me story. Why not?
fantastic.
So
So why are you today? It's supposed to be.
my dad growing up was in he was on television. He was a news anchor.
Nice.
So he actually had a background. He was in the Air Force and he studied like film or TV and radio. And then he ended up in radio. And then he was on a local news for KSY6 in San Luis Obispo. And so we had a camcorder and I got fascinated with that when I was younger.
Yeah, we had one growing up
And
too.
that's what made me pick it up.
Yep.
So I wanted to be a filmmaker, and
Yep.
so to answer your question, top movies, my all-time favorite film is The Dead Poet Society.
Mhm.
That's
great
the
movie.
film that made me want to be a filmmaker
Yep.
because it made me want to change the way I live.
Yeah.
When I saw it, like
Yeah.
I saw it, I'm like, I want to be a different person. So I
Yep.
thought I want to make
That's a
stuff that
really
makes
cool
people
way to
want
look
to
at
change
it,
their
man.
lives. So Dead Poet Society is always number one. As far as 2 and 3. I really, honestly, not as a cop out, but it has to be genre specific. I mean,
Good point.
there's kind of put it this way, like we watch the Lord of the Rings director cuts every year for Christmas.
Okay.
So there's 2 weeks of your life gone.
Yeah, it's like 9 hours.
Yeah.
So that I would say that's the
Trilogy
film
or-
I'll always go back to is Lord of the Rings.
Never seen them.
Really?
It's not. It's. I tried. a
Sorry,
few
I
different
wanted to see a
times.
playback of my
Got
it
it
was
too.
horror.
I'm just not into it. I've never seen Game of Thrones either.
I started to, then I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah,
That's why I was with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And
maybe for different reasons, but
yes, probably.
Maybe.
It's not because they're bad. It's just not interesting to me.
be wrong if you said they were.
They're great.
We may have to cut the podcast and throw them out the window.
They're beautiful. I mean, the scenery's beautiful. It's like New Zealand and Scotland a bunch. You
They're
can't find-
masterpieces. So Lord of the Rings trilogy would be maybe the second, and then gosh, for a third. I mean, if it's gonna, I don't know. I always have to cop out of this. It has to be sort of genre
That's
specific.
kind of why I asked, because I figured this has been asked to you before, and it probably frustrates you, so I had to do it.
I'm
Nice to
Sherman.
meet you. I'm going to frustrate
Yeah.
you.
There's like,
Welcome to the family.
I mean, I love Citizen Kane. I mean, these are such like I
Yeah,
want to be a
okay.
filmmaker answers, but like
Yeah.
Citizen Kane is a masterpiece. Also, The Godfather's.
Yes.
Not all of them, but
The sequel, that's one of the ones where there's trilogies or multiple movies where the sequel might be
Okay.
in ways better than the first.
Okay, so
True.
I do have a strong opinion about this. So as far as like sequels, I think one of the best made series of films are the Underworld movies.
I haven't seen those either.
Those are good movies.
The reason
feel
I
like I'm
love
not
the
a
Underworld series
cinema
is because
person, though.
all the actors are the same.
Yes.
They're all the
through
same
the entirety
through
of
the
it.
entire thing.
Yes.
And the storyline is, none of them feel like knockoff. Let's get some
Pop
up
out.
and coming director
Yeah.
that's obscure and
Just
paying
try
some
and make
money
squeeze
for
some money out of this
contractual
ride.
Right,
obligation.
right.
Yeah.
They're all like very, very good films on their own, and
Yeah.
they hold up the franchise really well.
Yeah.
So I really like the Underworld series because of that.
It's good.
What's it? Okay, so that was a good answer. What? Oh, actually, you got to go.
I haven't gone yet.
Okay, if you go,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have one more question.
So
Oh, you're looking up the list. You
No.
doing somebody else's
no,
list?
I'm switching cameras.
Cheating.
So my all-time favorite, and what's funny is I hadn't even 400 Kittens actually did say one that was in my top 5, but the more the more I think about it, it actually is top 3. So my number 1 is going to be Die Hard. It's always been Die Hard.
Hey,
Nothing wrong
That's
with
what
that.
it is for me.
answer the question.
We already had
We
this
already have
question,
we
but
had
yes,
this on live.
yes.
Yeah.
He's like, yep, I already know.
Absolutely.
What,
Christmas
what
movie.
did you say? Oh, you did say
Oh, yeah.
Christmas movie. Okay,
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Any other
Yeah.
question is just any other answer.
Yeah.
is wrong.
we
I
knew
think it was
exactly
day
what
one
question
I
it was
asked
going
you.
to be.
We brought it. We were talking about it, and I said Die Hard. And before I could finish my sentence, it's a Christmas movie. I was like, "How did you know I was going to ask?" He goes, "Everybody does." That's fair.
That's okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
He goes, if you keep up that nonsense, I'm going to ban you from here. He goes, "That's not a Christmas movie."
Oh, he's been right
so
about a lot
number-
of stuff.
Not that. Number 2, I would have to say, when it comes to, I don't have a specific genre or anything like that, but I love the movie number 23. It's a Jim Carrey movie. It's all of
Where he's obs-
Oh,
He's
he's like
obsessed with the
psychotic
number.
about 23
Yes,
or whatever. Yeah.
everything ties back to it. It's a great movie.
I've
Yeah.
always seen the poster and I've never seen
You
it.
got to watch it.
I've never seen all of it because I was always like Jim Carrey serious. Ugh, I don't know if I
It's
like
it
it.
actually
Well, I mean, there's
really
Truman
good.
Show.
Yeah. Well, it's good.
The Truman Show.
Truman
was-
Show's
Truman Show was great.
Yeah, that's right.
Great
I
movie.
was thinking of a different one where it's kind of like Cabin in the Woods. He runs the boat into the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does
Okay,
it at
that's
the
it.
end.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
And then the third one, this is one that 400 Kitten said, and I had considered it top 5, but the more I think about it, it's top 3. The Boondock Saints.
Oh,
Yes.
dude, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
400 Kittens, I agree with you
Me and my
100%.
dog
saying.
But that is
Me and my
my
brother had the poster in our basement.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
I
it.
was actually for the longest time I was
Yeah.
looking for the I was looking for the
Yeah.
1911s for the longest. I've seen a couple of them, but they're extremely expensive.
That's such a
And-
I
great
use
movie.
Berettas most of the time, though.
Well, they had a 1911 in there that I really wanted.
Yeah, the
The Berettas I
Veritas,
can't
the
find.
Veritas,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
That's
well,
such a
and
great
so I
movie.
guess the best way to put it is it's one of my favorites. Second one, ugh,
MTV
Yeah.
or something being
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
thing. And
A Spirit of
Billy
Santi.
Connolly.
A Spirit of Santi.
Yeah.
Nobody. I used to know it.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
It's not of my
the-
I've tried.
He's the- and he lived in
It's just a brother love thing, and that's why my brother and I always loved it. And so I guess top 3, those are all I'm saying. If they're on, I'm probably gonna find a way to watch and keep them on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I walk by them.
It
All
reminds
right,
me
I
of
gotta
movies
watch it.
I gotta carve out another hour and a half.
You know,
One's
sort of
on.
like Snatch. It's got that kind of.
This isn't a bad.
Oh,
movie.
I love that movie,
Yeah.
dude.
What's the director's
Snatch,
name?
Slevin. Slevin.
Slevin's good,
It's
but
not bad.
no, Snatch, great movie. Yours
Yeah.
says replica, mine says 0.50. When you're
Yeah,
talking about
yep, yep,
yep.
the Desert Eagle.
Yep.
In the Lock,
movie.
Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yep.
Guy Ritchie.
Oh, there's that new one you like about the Pound of Flesh.
That
Is
is
it The Gentleman?
The
or-
Gentleman.
Gentleman.
Yeah,
Love
was
that
pretty
movie.
Good.
That's with
only
McConaughey.
seen it once, yeah.
Farmer.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that was good. There's so many good movies, though. That's the thing. Is like it's really hard to
We
pin
can
it
move on.
down. Yeah.
Okay, so real quick,
Yeah.
Diego, I'm going to address this. He says that he said it's not. What he's referring to is Bruce Willis actually came out on a
He
on
did.
A,
I
the show
saw
that
that.
I can't remember. It was a,
I read it in
was
an
a
article.
it was
but
a show, an award
it was a
show. I think.
roasting. It was a roasting of somebody or him.
And he
At the
said,
very end,
and he
goes,
said,
"It's not
I
a
have to
Christmas
make
movie."
I have to make this clear because it's been a bone of contention for me for years. He goes, I love the movie, I love the series, but I have to say this out loud, and it's going to upset a ton of people.
Yep.
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I saw that and I freaked. I actually yelled at my TV, "You're lying!" You know. And Diego,
Well, that's
what I'm
the
going to
thing
say
for
is that
food, for Diego, or even that. It was a roast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roasts are comedy events.
exactly. And so that was
There
and that
could
was
be some.
I say
kind
very
of-
he was being
seriously.
facetious
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
It was just using it for roasting sake.
Yeah.
Just because you're the star of the franchise, you could be wrong. He didn't write the film.
Right.
So, and then
I have a lot of rebuttals to
let's
that.
see, we have Warden says Security, the movie with Antonio Banderas.
I
No idea.
I've seen quite a few
Oh, that'd be
Antonio.
interesting. I'm actually very curious what people's favorite security related films are. Like, so there's
If somebody says Paul Blart, so help me.
well, it's not wrong. Or there, what's the one with
It's
Denzel
pretty
Washington,
funny.
The Equalizer?
That
That's
one's
not
good.
really
That's
like.
not a security
I
movie.
know.
like a
I know,
hitman
it's like
The
kinda.
second
like
one was I like.
Man on Fire with him is really
That's-
good. That he's security in that. He is
Yeah,
hired.
that's
He's
true.
hired
okay,
security.
Training Day,
Training Day's
Love
good.
Training Day.
Yeah.
which is a crazy
The
bad guy.
the
or what?
recruit.
The movie
I don't know,
SWAT.
what's the one?
The movie SWAT. I
the
love
first
the
one?
movie SWAT.
First one.
They have a second one.
They do.
No, the one with what's his name?
Bad Boys.
Samuel
Everybody
Jackson.
loves Bad
Yeah,
Everybody
Boys.
loves
great.
Bad Boys.
The newest one was man.
Still, that's so many people. That'd be curious what people's favorite.
That might be one where the
security-related-
second one.
400 Kittens put the quote from there. In nomine patre
Yeah,
et file
It
et
feels.
spiritus sancti.
Yeah, Spiritus Sancti. Yeah, at the end. I mean, it's
it's Father,
Santi.
Son, and
tomato,
Holy
tomato.
Spirit, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this is my last
I don't
one
know
that I
Latin.
want to do. Question wise, because I have one and I found it out. It's another one that if it's on, I will watch it, and I'm embarrassed to say it. I'm not embarrassed to say it. I'm proud to say it.
Put it on the
It's-
internet
it's-
forever.
It is a weird. So the
My
question
Little
is,
Pony.
yeah, something like that. That's what I'm saying. What's
could see that.
what's a movie that you like that everybody would be like, you like that movie?
This is coming out as a brony.
I don't even know what that is, but Devil Wears Prada. I have a weird. I think
I
it's
can't
so.
even say
I
I'm
think it's so
disappointed in
funny
you.
and good.
Disagree.
I can't even be mad at you.
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep's
her
incredible.
outside of movies because she's whatever, but she's a fantastic actress, and I don't even like Anne Hathaway. I don't think she's I don't think she's really that good of an actress. But for some reason, I think it's because
Did you
I'm
say
so
Les-
far out
Les
of fashion.
Miserables?
No. I look at me. I do not have fashion. I have no fashion sense. And
He's wearing a tactical shirt with tactical pants.
Well, she was in Les Mis and she did the I Dream a Dream and the whole thing. She pays.
I heard she
15.
can sing pretty good.
Well, yeah, her mother played that role. Actually.
Yes, her mother was a famous
And
actress.
every time I'm not afraid. Every time I see it, I
It's ya.
get
Yeah.
very emotional with that.
I don't know why I like that.
It's incredible in that.
My
Okay.
wife was telling me because it was on. She goes, "Why do you watch Devil's Prada?" I was like, I think it's funny.
It's a
The
great
bald
movie.
guy's really
tell you-
good. The bald guy's
Stanley
really good.
Tucci's great.
Love
Yes.
him. Love him.
Well,
I
he
think
was
it
also
might be
great
more
in Julie
him.
and Julia.
Never seen that one.
Princess Bride.
Yes, dude. Never seen it. Never seen
They
it.
got a little.
Get a little bit.
Sorry, Princess
Oh.
Bride is a classic.
Never seen it.
Classic.
Is that an Anne
They
Hathaway
should
movie too?
never
No.
remake
Oh.
that film. They should never.
I love him.
One
Other
of my
people say
favorite
that too.
One of my favorite parts of that is the. I have two favorite parts. That is when he's is the drinks with the Sicilian,
Yeah,
and then the sword fight where I forgot I'm left-handed.
yeah.
I
Everything
love
in
that.
that is
Love
I
that.
might have to check it out. I'm not a big royalty kind of movie fan, so that's why I haven't.
royalty movie.
Yeah, like movies about
No.
like royalty.
No.
No.
Isn't it Princess Bride?
Yes,
You're
but
a princess,
no,
though.
yes to that, but no to what you're saying.
Yeah, you're
So I'm
you're
being
taking
way
the-
off.
You're
I'm
taking
being prejudiced, or I'm
you're basically you're reading the
I'm
book.
judging.
You're reading the cover.
movie.
She's literally the princess on the cover.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
Don't
fine.
worry about it.
Sure.
Next week,
You got me.
At least you can talk.
next week we'll get a recap on. People are like, guys, it was so rough.
Watch the movie. It was great.
Seriously, the Princess Bride has nothing to do with the princess.
No.
Got you now. No,
Not in the
Okay,
sense
hold
that
on.
you're
No.
thinking.
She
I
is Princess Buttercup in it.
but I don't think it's in the sense that you're thinking.
okay.
Yeah,
Then I
It's
might
not-
check it
it's
out.
Not. It's
If
not.
it's your guilty pleasure
It's
to
not
watch it, then I might check it out.
exclusively like about what that is. There's a ton of backstories that it goes into.
Yeah.
and so it's not exclusively
I
about
love
that.
being
yeah.
part of a discussion describing Princess Bride to somebody who's never seen it. This is like a peak moment. But I love
really-
that we were
I'm
talking
really-
about security
really glad
related
we-
movies because
I'm really glad Dad's not watching right now.
He might be. Who knows? No, he's exhausted. We're both exhausted after this. It's been a long week.
Let's see. Warden says the movie Security is pretty good. It's available on Netflix. So if we wanted to watch it, you
with
could watch it on
Antonio
Netflix.
Banderas.
I don't think I've ever seen it. The only one I've seen with him is where he has the AK-47 in the guitar case. Can't remember the name. I think it's Bennett. I'll butcher it.
Well, that
so-
might be a fun segment to do, like reviewing
Security movies?
films.
We could do that. I mean,
Somebody says
we break
National
down
Security
National Security.
with Martin Lawrence.
Oh, that is a great one.
Yeah, that's a
Jeez
funny one.
That's a
Louise.
really funny one.
Yeah.
And the other guy, his counterpart in that movie, the cop that ends up beating him up
Yeah.
or something. that
No,
gets
he
him-
was hitting the beat. He was attacking him.
He wasn't actually
swinging
beating him up,
Yeah.
but-
Kind of this is very much on the outside, but Shawshank Redemption.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Also, if I had to put it in a list, that would be in the top 3. But it takes place in a prison.
Yeah.
That's
The
true.
first time I saw
Green Mile.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Green Mile.
Green Mile's a
Yeah.
good one.
First
Great
time I saw
movie.
him walk across the.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid to admit
Wouldn't
this.
flinch to think about
I've
it.
never
You-
seen it from start to finish. I've seen
Green
probably
Mile?
no Shawshank Redemption.
Really?
I've seen bits in like large chunks, but I've never sat down and started it and ended it. There's actually
Okay.
there's quite a few classic like you need to see these movies that I catch myself having that happen.
You know,
confused by you. Right
it's
now.
funny. I'm thinking about
know.
this. We're talking about movies, and
I'm overly honest, so it's weird.
That's fine.
Dad's gonna be mad because we've not mentioned any of the movies.
Oh, I
that he
just
told us
connect you
to
guys are
watch.
brothers.
Not real brother. Well,
No.
like
Well,
we're work brothers.
yeah.
Great.
Can't see the family resemblance.
Yeah, I'll let him just go.
Foot and a half a difference.
We'll cover that offline.
No, so Chief Leon, we refer to him as Dad.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's good. We got a little family, but
Okay.
We're the redheaded
yeah.
stepchildren.
You
Okay.
like the stepbrother that could once could
Yeah,
eventually be
the
part of it?
newborn in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the newborn.
Before
yeah.
the fully formed newborn.
Yes.
Let's
Fully formed newborn. Benjamin Button.
dropping fat rhymes on the Titan show.
There you go.
What was the Gotti? It was Gotti.
Mhm.
That's what we watched. What was it about
The crime boss.
Yeah. It was. We just watched it like 2 months ago when he told us to.
Oh yeah.
And then Bull Durham. I watched that one.
I
That
haven't
was
watched
good.
that one.
Major League. So Bull Durham and Major League are basically like what we do here.
Yeah.
There's
I've
there's
watched
the
a bunch of
coach
clips
and
on
he's
it, but
just
Wait,
fed
he
up with
Major
all the
League
shenanigans.
with Charlie Sheen.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That's very similar to how
you were saying that.
yes. Very similar to how things run around here. It's just like
Yeah,
he's just
everybody here
tired
is great.
and, yeah.
It's just honest, straightforward. I
Major League's good, and that's another one that's when it's on. I'm probably actually. I think I watched pieces of it like a couple days ago.
one
'cause it's
I would say
full
going
time.
on movies that we make time for. Like if we're flipping through channels or if we see it, we have to watch it.
Forrest Gump's another one too.
oh, yeah.
What was it? 13 Hours.
Yes, Benghazi.
Benghazi.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So warm. Yeah.
Who does the security detail for the annex is similar to how our team
I
operates.
do
Yes.
like.
We're just we just drag knuckles and
Yeah.
we're just
I'm a big
brutes.
military,
Movie,
not a
or-
buff, but just
yeah.
my stepbrother is in the Marines, and so I have a book on special forces. I watch a ton of documentaries. I love anything.
There's a
that's-
podcast, the Sean Ryan show. You can
Mhm.
check it out. You'll love
Okay.
it. The Sean
Good
James show,
podcast.
Yeah.
I like
All
watching the
military.
Jack Ryan or the Jack Reacher, not Jack Reacher, the Jack Ryan
Shadow Warrior or Shadow.
It was the Netflix series, John Krasinski.
There's a really good
Oh,
show on Prime that you'd like too. It's got Chris Pratt in it. It's called The Terminal. Or The
I
Terminal
haven't
List.
seen the
Yeah,
Terminal
Terminal
List
List.
You'll
yet.
love it.
Yeah, I
You'll
really
I
want
don't
to
have
see it.
Amazon Prime.
You need to watch it.
You want to give me a password so I can?
I think
wanna
I'm
get caught
stealing
up.
my sister's. Probably not.
Netflix is about to
I
major.
mean, no, not Amazon. You probably heard that.
I hear everything.
Yeah. Hold on.
Uh,
I'm going to send this to you
Warden-
before I forget because you'll like that show.
Warden says anyone Ghost in the Shell, the new
Who's
one.
Warden? Is my wife on
The
there?
film
Film.
yes, with
What are you talking
Scarlett
about?
Johansson.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
I saw. Well, it's an
So
anime.
there's an anime
Yeah.
called Ghost in the Shell.
There's a movie and a television
about it.
They
series.
they
standalone
redid
comics.
it as a regular movie.
Yeah, and it's good. It's
good.
a hard one to replicate,
Yes.
and they did a very good job. The spider tank and everything. Yeah, Ghost in the Shell is a wonderful film.
Mhm.
I've heard about it.
It's not. It's not.
I'm not a big.
I think they
anime
did a very good attempt at trying to recreate the anime,
It's hard.
but it's extremely hard to go
The whole
from that
scene
to real
with
life.
her running through the water basin is almost frame for frame from the anime
Mhm.
with the spin kick and the whole deal. And she does a very good job with. She was. This may be a hot take, but or a little odd, but she did a film where it's like another one of my favorite movies. Was Limitless with Bradley Cooper.
I haven't seen that
Oh,
one yet.
Limitless is a good
He
movie.
takes that magic pill.
Bill, and then she did another. Scarlett Johansson did a film where it was a similar thing. She's a drug mule, and
Oh,
I think I've seen this. Go. Not
no,
go.
I gotta look it up now.
yeah, she's a drug mule, and they hit her in the stomach, and the drugs come out,
I've seen that.
and she
seen
ends
parts
up
of it.
Lucy,
Lucy, that's
there
right.
it is.
and she does a similar kind of a
Warden just beat it. Just did it.
hey,
She's in foreign country too. Isn't
yeah,
she?
she's in
Yeah.
a foreign country and all that stuff. Anyway, she does a similar kind of a take that she does with Major, where Major's very, robotic,
Yes.
obviously. And so for Lucy, she ends up getting very much like that. She just is just all
Yep.
brain or whatever. So it's similar roles. But yeah, Ghost in the Shell's a great.
Yep.
a great film.
Scarlett Johansson's beautiful, so anything she's in is probably easy to watch.
Easy
But
to watch, sure, but she's great in the
she's
role.
good. She's
She's
good.
great in the role.
I'm not even a big superhero movie fan of all the new ones. I can't keep up. And
Oh, the Marvel conversation.
I'm not a huge,
DC, Marvel.
I mean, I like Batman, so I guess he's DC.
DC.
I think
I need to-
DC's starting to kick off again.
yeah. This is that
There's some
show I'm
controversy
telling you
with that.
about. You need to check it out.
Okay.
He interviews guys like the guy that killed Bin Laden. He's got this really well known breacher guy for the SEALs. That is
Well, Sean Ryan Show, if you're listening, we'd love to
Oh yeah,
to have you on.
It's so cool. It's complete if they commented on here because I watch it religiously. Like I don't. There's some guy on there, but there's like this
Everybody
guy
like
that,
to talk to Coop.
yeah.
He'd be
But,
more interested with him.
But he's got these cool like sour gummies he gives all his guests and stuff. It's a cool show. Just you
Or
should
talk
definitely
to
check
sorry,
him out.
talk to
Yeah.
Leon.
Liam.
Somebody.
Sorry.
Yeah. Ryan should
Let
see
me,
this.
let me start over.
It'd
I
be,
started
it'd be,
on
Leon or Ryan.
They
I
play it
think
at the
he'd do
gun
well
range
there.
that we go to.
today is
Yeah.
what's the date
He's
today?
hot.
The 6th?
The 6th.
I started on the 3rd. So I'm still
Hey,
getting
great.
the names
Yeah.
down.
Yep. So that's pretty much all I have. I mean, we talked about movies for 4 hours.
Oh,
When he said robotic, it reminded me of the guy from Alien because we just watched that. And I was like, great,
Yep.
another great series.
great
Alien.
series.
What was his name?
What I didn't like is when they started merging.
David. I think it was David and one of
David's a
them.
new one from
That's what,
Prometheus.
Prometheus. That's a great Prometheus.
Love Prometheus.
In the original.
Yeah,
Where he pulls
Aliens.
his head off.
The first Aliens is
Yep.
a masterpiece.
Yeah, there's a family connection there. My mom and some of her sisters and my aunts would always watch it every year. So and like you said, you watched the Lord of the Rings,
And
you have that cool family tie.
Yeah.
It's something so cool about how cinema and movies bring that together. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, and I watched Harry Potter for the first time like 2 years ago, all the way through. I blew out my knee, so I was
watching Harry
working
Potter.
from home. Yeah,
They're
I
great.
thought it was pretty
movies.
good.
There's a one where they're in the woods a lot. I called that one Harry Potter Goes Camping when they're out hunting the Horcruxes.
Yeah.
I hated that one at first, but for some reason, as the years go by, I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty good.
I was thinking about going back and watching them through again this year because they're a very good fall. Once it starts to get cold and leaves are changing, it's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
fun to watch
Yeah.
those. And we didn't get around to it this year, but I
It's still
liked them.
cold.
And a bunch of people I went to school with were like Harry Potter freaks, just
It's
because
a very
I don't think you can
because
say
we
that.
were the same age, just were nuts about Harry Potter. We were the same age as Harry Potter. So like when I was in 4th or 5th grade, the first book came out.
Yeah.
And so, because I was born in '90, so the trilogy or the series has been
Series.
going forever. And I was at a wedding with a friend that she was, and I was like, hey, I finally, and this is right after I watched the movies. I was like, hey, I finally watched them. I never read the books. And I was like, it's not as good as you guys think. And she made a really good point. She goes, we grew up the same way with Harry Potter.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a good tie to it. Like
Yeah.
that actually makes
Did you
sense.
say it's not as good as the books? Is that what you said?
No, I said I didn't read the books. I just watched the movies.
That's the
Books are
thing.
way better.
Books are always better than
Yeah,
the
and,
films.
and I agree because so it's funny you say that. As I was in 4th or 5th grade when they were coming out, we had assigned reading, and they're like, you can either read Harry Potter or Holes. I was like, I'll
Holes.
take Holes because I was a rebel, and I was like,
Shia
Harry
LaBeouf,
Potter. The book was fantastic, and then the movie was funny too.
Yeah, the movie's good.
But and there's a few different things that are different, and everybody that's always reading
And that's
books
every time.
Yep.
Every time.
The one that got me growing up was we read Where the Red Fern Grows.
I think I've read that.
As
I don't
part of
remember.
elementary school. It was like 5th grade. And I remember
Uh,
sitting in the classroom and reading it, just going, oh. And
Yeah.
like she got to the point where the dog dies. Spoiler. And
Ruining
the class starts to cry. I always remember that moment for some reason for the Where the Red Fern Grows.
Yeah, there's part of that ruin. I like to read, believe it or not. If
I don't.
if it's stimulating,
Contrary
and
to
so-
public
yeah,
opinion.
mine's were like articles and stuff. That's where I get most of my news is written, and
I could see you sitting in front of the pool reading a newspaper.
yeah. Well, I just do it on my phone, but yeah. For whatever reason, and I hate to say this because I had a lot of really good teachers growing up, but when you're forced to read something you don't like, it really puts a bad taste in
ruins
your
it.
mouth about reading.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
And so
eating
there's a-
something you don't want to
Yeah,
eat.
and it's like don't force me because but I mean I get it too. I didn't like to
Mine
read
was,
back then because it was like boring textbooks. But
Mine was The Catcher in the Rye.
I was just gonna say that.
That was one that was part of like our curriculum, and it was really hard for me to read, and I got up really upset. And then
Yeah.
To Kill a
year-
Mockingbird was fantastic.
years later, I went back and read the books, and I was like, okay, I should have read this in class. 'Cause This
Yeah.
is pretty good.
Catcher in the Rye is about the guy that has like a negative look on everything, right? Or
Uh,
is that the
Catcher in the Rye is one where there's this little girl from Kansas,
Yeah.
and this tornado comes through,
Not
and
the one I'm thinking
and
of,
it takes her into another world where there's
wait,
this
that's
little,
Wizard of Oz.
that's
Oh.
that's
They're
not
like,
it.
damn it. He
He's
going
pulled
for a
it. He's
second,
he
dude. That
pulled
was
he
good.
pulled a roses on you.
That was good. Yeah, you're on the whole. I'm like digging down the road. I'm like,
Remember that?
and you're like, wait a minute.
He just pulled a roses
I'm
on
like
you.
the
You're-
yellow brick road, and I'm like, no, that's
One
not.
part here was like, I recognize this in the phrase. I have no idea what this has to do with Catcher in the
You
Rye.
started saying it,
was
and I was
good.
like,
That
no.
was good.
And then I saw your face, like, I'm just gonna let it happen. It's
That,
great.
that one was good.
We're in the same office area, so
I'm vulnerable right now. All right. I just had multiple guns going off for hours in front of me. My head hurts since for a long week. No, that was good. You got me good. I'll give you that one
That was pretty
That
good.
was
that was
really
that was
good.
roses.
because I'm like, wait a minute, Kansas tornado.
Well, then, if you want to talk about books, which we don't have to go down that, but uh, in related to here, there's my dad loved the John Clancy books.
yeah,
Oh,
Tom Clancy.
Tom Clancy.
Sorry,
Yep.
Tom
Yeah.
Clancy books.
Yeah.
And Grisham is what I was going to say next.
He was never military.
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Like Hunt for Red October and all this other
It's
stuff.
like all these military strategies, and they're all accurate and like
Talk about
to a
another
T.
good movie, Hunt for the Red October.
Yeah,
My goodness.
played the
So
hell out of
good.
it.
When I was a kid, 'cause
N64.
and that was I played on the computer, and that was
Nerding
early
out.
tactical stuff. Like you'd have to plan your breaches
Yeah.
and everything.
Tango down.
Dang
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
Not anymore.
12-year-old. It's
Yeah.
just like,
That was my thing. My dad's military, and so we grew up with all that stuff, and I was really into it. And Saving Private Ryan's one of my
Actually,
favorite
now that
movies.
I just remember this. There was an old video game called, I think it was a SWAT video game, and it was one of the point and click ones. It wasn't
Mhm.
like real time, and it would be like you had to go to the door and you had to set up a certain way to breach, and then you would have
Yeah.
a mirror
Yeah.
and had all these different steps. So I
Yep.
should find the YouTube video for that.
If you
I
do it, because
loved that
that's how Rainbow Six was too.
Yeah,
Most
Rainbow
of the time
Six
you're playing
was
on the map more
Yeah.
than you are
on-
looking at
Yep.
what the guy
Yes.
sees, because you're looking for.
And when it
And,
comes to
yeah.
gaming and stuff, if we're going to talk about gaming, that's one of my favorite are squad based tactical shooters.
me too.
Not the Call of Duty.
I
we were
was
trying to
trying
get
for the
signed
longest
for it.
time the
Which-
new Ready or Not
Yep.
game. I want to get it, but I don't have people have it because I'll go pick up Call of Duty. Played an Xbox game in months, but
And nothing
if-
against it. I mean, it's a
if I
billion
pick it
dollar
up,
franchise. It's fun.
some 14-year-old whoops my ass, and
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I just want to blow some steam off after work.
Yeah. And I'm
You're killing me with more than 30
You're
seconds.
killing me with an
I can't
SMG
do-
from 400 meters. I'm like, come on,
You got a handgun. I watched
Shimbos, man.
one
Like,
time they were. I was in a match. So my brother-in-laws they'll play a lot, and we were in a match, and he picked up some kind of AK-47 with a scope, and he was up in a crane, and there was a map where there's like a causeway or whatever, and the guy was going down, and he must have been 300 yards,
Yeah.
500 yards, and he just picked this guy off with the scoped AK,
Yeah.
and we were cheering him on.
That's a 7.62. That's pretty inaccurate at that range.
But anyway,
Weird.
I
Weird.
think that's the older stuff, the Battlefield 2, like one of the originals.
Oh, yeah.
When
It was really
commander role, the
Yeah.
squad
Yep.
role, the squad leader. I love that stuff.
Wolfenstein used to do that, where you have like
Now
a
he's talking about
medic.
Wolfenstein.
And,
Yeah, it's a good game.
Now he's
So we were
talking
going
about
down a
Wolfenstein.
weird rabbit
All
hole
right.
here. We
Yeah.
gotta
That's it.
pull out. Come over here. We just became best friends. We're gonna go play karate in dispatch
Yeah,
now.
I'm sure this was very helpful for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, it's really nice having you on the
I
show.
love
Yeah,
being
thanks
here.
for
It's
joining us
great.
today.
We gotta. As much as I want to have you on every show now, we've got to avoid. But soon we'll have you on
Anytime you
again.
want.
We'll have to have you on. We'll have to have you on soon again. But I think we're going to call it for the day.
Yeah.
So we appreciate everybody joining us today. Thank you, Brian, for
My
joining us on the
pleasure.
show.
Yeah. Thanks again, sir.
Welcome to the Titan
Thank
family,
you.
Yeah.
and we'll hope to see you more.
He's the newborn.
Yeah, he's our newborn.
Full-blown-
Our full-blown newborn.
Full-grown newborn.
So we
Yeah.
appreciate it. Everybody enjoy your weekend. We will talk to you guys on Monday. For those of you who watch this after, if you guys have any favorite movies, throw them in the comments. Let us know. Maybe
Yes.
we'll
Yeah.
bring it up on the next
We're
time we
definitely
got
gonna
Brian here.
We're going to start doing some polls with that. stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it. Enjoy your guys' weekend. Stay safe out there, and
Friday.
we look forward to seeing you guys again.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.